Hey, friends. This is Martine Williams, and I am obsessed with all things mompreneur life and helping you to remix your priorities, your habits, your mindsets, and yes, even your relationships so that you can build a successful business without losing yourself in the process. I'm also obsessed with the color turquoise and lyrics of the 80s and 90s, but that's beside the point. Girlfriend, you don't have to hustle 24/7, 365 and continue to sacrifice your health, your relationships, and your sanity to be a successful mompreneur. As a small town girl living in a lonely world to a six-figure mompreneur, I am here to teach you how. There is a better way, and this podcast is your one-stop shop for all of the how-tos, the encouragement, the life hacks, the success tips, and of course, a little side of tough love. This is the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. So let's do this. Well, happy Thursday, friends. Can you believe, at least at the time of this recording, we are a week away from Thanksgiving. This year is just flying by. And you know, if you've been around here for a while, that No-vember is the theme for November for the past few years. And this is all about helping you to flex your no muscle so you can be empowered in your yes and make your yeses mean yes and your nos mean no. So we kicked that off the last couple of weeks, and we're going to continue on today with another Turquoise Talk guest. I'm actually bringing back a guest on that I had before, Caris Snider. She is a fellow mompreneur who's just on mission to help moms with anxiety and to live out the life that God has called them to live with more joy and more fulfillment. And I'm just really excited to have her on the show to specifically talk about anxiety in the holidays and to talk about that 2-letter word, no, that we need to be empowered to say more as women. So you're going to love this episode, but let me remind you and tell you a little bit more about Caris if this is your first time hearing her. She is a Christian communicator who shares the hope of God as a speaker, writer, certified life coach, and podcaster on her weekly show, Caroline Conversations. She is the author of Anxiety Elephant's 31-Day Devotional and Anxiety Elephant's 90-Day Devotional for tween boys and girls. She has 2 new books that have just released, a children's picture book called There's an Elephant on My Chest. It's adorable. And a book for moms titled Caroline Mom Devotional. Y'all love this devotional because it's small, it's compact, can fit right there in your purse or in your car, whether you have older kids that are, teenagers or you have littles. You may not be in the car line at school, but you're in a line probably somewhere in your car or your Uber mom. So it's a great devotional to keep in your car. She shares from personal experiences of overcoming depression, anxiety, fear, and shame. And in those books, Caris desires to help people of all generations see their value and their worth through the eyes of the Lord to grow in their faith and mental health. Caris offers inspiration to those who feel purposeless to discover their God-given calling no one else can accomplish. Caris lives with her husband, Brandon, and 2 daughters in Coleman, Alabama. And I'm really just excited for you, again, to hear our conversation. It's so relevant for this time. And, I'm going to keep talking about this because I keep having conversations with women who struggle in this area. And I love specifically talking about anxiety as well. So without further ado, please help me welcome Caris Snider. Well, welcome back, friends, to the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. I'm your host, Martine Williams, your CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And today I have a sweet friend of mine and peer in the mom space of just helping to empower moms to build the life and build the business, build relationships in a way that has less anxiety, has less stress, has more fulfillment, more peace, and more joy. And I'm just so excited to have Caris Snider here on the podcast. This is the second time you've been on.
I think, yes. This is the second time. Yes, I'm so excited.
I don't think I've had anybody on repeat yet. I think you're the first guest I've had on twice. So that's exciting.
Really? Oh, that's awesome.
We're kindred spirits, and we just we just have this heart and this passion for moms. And I think that's why I wanted to bring you back on, because this month I'm really focusing on NO-vember, with really helping women to embrace and flex their no muscle, right? Being able to flex that courageous muscle to say no. And I know you work with a lot of moms. Excuse me. You've written books on anxiety. You have devotional, Caroline Mom Devotional, which we're going to talk about. But before we dive into all that, for those who didn't see the first episode or listen to the first episode or don't know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about you and your family and kind of how you got into this space?
Absolutely. So I am a mom, a wife, I'm a certified life coach. I'm a speaker and an author. And I do have a podcast that I kind of I dabble in a little bit. And I live in Alabama with my family. I have 2 daughters. My oldest daughter, goodness, we are in 9th grade. So we are, we're in those high school years, which is I think a whole other book will come from that as we get through these years. And then I have a daughter in 5th grade. So she is in that tween world. So I know a lot of your moms have both of those, with their kids. And my husband and I, we've been married 19 years. We're going to celebrate 20 years in 2024. And this will be another podcast episode for another day, but we met, he was in a Christian boy band and I made fun of him and now we're married. So if people are like, Christian boy band, what is that? Think about like NSYNC boys singing about Jesus. And there you go.
And that is exactly what I pictured. Like the new kids on the block,
there it is.
Like singing Jesus music.
There you go. Like the spiked hair, the gold chains, the like mesh shirts, tank top shirts, dancing around, singing about Jesus. He always loves when I bring that up, that's how we met. But I think it's important that people know the backstory of us. So that's a little bit of my family. And the reason, I'm so passionate about talking to moms and just all generations really about anxiety, faith, and mental health is because almost 12 years ago, anxiety and depression almost took my life. I was a master of the mask. I had a successful business that I was running. I was a leader within my church, and I was being crushed by the weight of anxiety on the inside that felt like an elephant sitting on my chest. And it almost took me out. And I praise God every day that it didn't, that I was able to look up and I learned how to deal with some things, how to handle life differently, how to think about things differently. And through that, just through having conversations with women and just knowing that they were struggling too. And we were not talking about these important issues enough. And so that's kind of what got me here. I'm passionate about letting moms know, letting women know you do not have to do life alone. You don't have to wear the weight of the world on your shoulders. And like we're going to talk about today, no is not a bad word. It is not a bad word. It's an important word for us to implement in our life. And I'm just grateful for any opportunity that I get to talk to other women like you so that we can help each other work through this, because it's easy to talk about, I know is not a bad word, but to actually use it can feel scary sometimes. And I think that's where, that anxiety can come from for a lot of mamas.
And, the last guest that I interviewed, we were talking about this and we were talking about it and we were laughing about it. And, I really just felt led to pause in the middle of that episode and just be like, look, we're laughing about it now because we've learned the skill set of being able to say no. And there's still parts and times and opportunities that come up that are harder for me to say no to. So it's not like a one and done, but it does get easier. And I never want for someone listening to feel like, oh, it's so easy for you to say, right? Because you're there or you're here or whatever you want to put in there. So I really want to be sensitive. Like if we laugh about it and we say these things so lightly, it's not because we don't understand where you are and we don't I want to validate your anxiety around saying no. I just had a friend message me today. It was really cute. It was actually a voice message. And she was really struggling with saying no to something as simple as someone was asking her to babysit. And she just didn't want to, and she couldn't, but she really didn't want to, even if she could. And she was just having real anxiety around how to respond to this. And she had like a 3-paragraph response that she was going to send to this person. She was like, help me, and to me, it's just so simple. It's just like, it doesn't require a 3-paragraph explanation. The fact that you don't want to should be enough. In certain circumstances, that should be enough. And you don't have to explain to everyone why your no is your no. But that's where that anxiety comes in, because you feel like, I have to explain it away. And she said, I've always bent over backwards for everyone. I've always been the people pleaser. I've always been that person to the point of not saying yes to myself. Like, this is all happening like in a 10-minute conversation. She's coming to this realization that this is all what's happening. And this is why it's so hard for her. And so it's very real. It's very real, no matter what stage of life you're in. It's very, very real. And I think the more we talk about it, and like you said in the beginning, the more we take that mask off and just say, hey, I struggle with this. Like, no shame, no blame. Don't beat yourself up about it. Let's just do something about it.
Yeah, that's right. As you were talking, it brought me back to when my oldest daughter was in elementary school. My youngest was in primary, like around kindergarten, first grade. And I was involved in both PTOs. I was, there was homeroom mom. There was these things at church. I had all these things going. And I was supposed to be at my daughter's elementary school to help with something that I volunteered for, because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, that I had to do all these things. And I showed up late. I think I had a hat on. I was in Carline mom, like gear. Like, I wasn't dressed for success. I was so stressed. I run in. One of my best friends was there, and she knew I had a lot going on. And she looked at me. She said, Caris, why are you here? What are you doing? And I had tears in my eyes. And this is what I said to her. I said, I suck as a mom. And she said, what? Where is that coming from? And I said, because I'm supposed to be here and I'm supposed to be able to do all these things, and I can't do it. And she said, no, nobody expects you to do all these things. And that does not define you as a mom. That doesn't mean you're a bad mom or a good mom if you say no to something. She said to me, go home, go home. Like, no one thinks badly of you, but I thought that they would think bad of me. I thought if I didn't show up, and I didn't say yes to all the things, that they were going to think badly of me. But that was my misconception because of the anxiety, because of the what ifs, because of the pressure and this, this need to just do all the things and do them to perfection. And I'm grateful for that friend that told me, go home, go home.
Yeah.
And I did.
And the world didn't stop spinning, right? The world did not spinning. The school didn't fall apart. Whatever it was you showed up to do just went on just fine.
Yes. And all those moms are still my friend, and they still loved me, and there were things that I was able to help with later. But I remembered saying that about myself out loud in front of other people. And I was like, this is not healthy. And I think there are some moms listening today that are saying that about themselves. Yeah. They feel that way about themselves. And it's not true.
Yeah. It doesn't make you a mean girl. You hear me say that all the time. No, doesn't mean that you're being mean or you're being insensitive. And that's what this person was feeling this morning when we were having this conversation. And we were in a group chat, and the person said to her, the person asked you a question. All you were required is to give an answer, not an explanation. And I thought that was so powerful. Like, we think we have to explain it instead of just give her the answer. And then I was like, and if you give her the answer quick enough, you're helping her out, because you're helping her. No, that's not an option. Let me find someone else that can babysit. But the longer you sit and stew about it, and the longer you sit here and try to figure out your 3-page thesis you're going to put together on explaining why it needs to be a no, she's waiting, and she just needs an answer. They just need an answer. And not all people are going to accept the answer for what it is. We know that. And that's where the anxiety comes from. Like, what are they going to say back? And we have these stories in our head, like you had, going to the school, of what everybody's going to think. And is our relationship going to change? And if it does, that's on them. That's on them. That's not on you. And when you are able to flex your no and really let your yeses be empowered. And that's what she said after we kind of talked through this in like a little 10-minute cycle. She was just like, I feel so empowered now. And that's what it's about. Like let your yes be a confident yes, because and understand you're not being a bad mom. You're not being a bad friend. You're not being a bad wife. Right. Like, you're just trying to honor what's important to you right now. And we're in the holiday hustle right now. And this is where anxiety, it's heightened on all levels, because there are so many more things being put onto our plate. And
that's right.
So thinking of the season that we're in right now, and there's Christmas parties and there's kids activities and there's all these things that people are, you see the moms making the cookies and they're wrapping these things and they're bringing all these treats to school. And, some people get pure joy out of doing that. That's not me. It's not me. Some people get pure joy out of writing out all of the Christmas cards and putting the stamps and getting the photo and all of that. And good if it makes you feel good. And that's something that brings you joy, do it.
Right.
But what would be some just helpful, things you can share with the audience around keeping that anxiety low?
Yeah. Yeah. So first of all, one thing that has been helpful for me that I want to share is when you are making your schedule out, you're planning things, schedule on there no days that you just put in nothing or nothing else. And then when someone asks you, hey, can you help with such and such this day? You can literally go back to them and say, no, my schedule is full for that day, because that's what you're on your schedule is a no, and it is full. So that is something, there that can be helpful for you, so that okay, it's in there, it's scheduled, so that you don't have to feel bad. And that is something, because sometimes we don't know what words to use, how to respond, and that can lead to writing this long reason, so when you have it scheduled, that sounds like a really great response. And then I think too, just as you were to go back very quickly to what you said to the mom who said no quickly, that gives other moms freedom to know, I can do this too. I can say no too when it doesn't fit in, to my schedule. So I think some things that are going to help you through this holiday season, because you may be experiencing the holidays a little bit differently. Maybe you've dealt with something difficult, something tragic this year. I know for a lot of people financially, you're going to have to say no to some things this year that maybe you could have said yes to last year. Maybe you need to say no to something so that you can make more family time, because your kids, they just need more of you right now. So one thing you can do is halt all the busy things. And don't think to yourself, well, I did this last year, or I did this, multiple years ago. We are right now. We are in present moment, and anxiety either wants you to look in the past or look to the future of things that haven't happened yet. So we want to be present right now. So halt your thinking out of that past and the future and be in your present moment. What can you do right now? And I think that will help you. And when you get those moments to halt, pause and enjoy the moments. Like, what is around you in this present moment that you can experience, that you can really take in with an attitude of gratitude, and just be like, man, these things are hard and these things haven't happened the way that I wanted to, but look what I do have. Look what I can enjoy with my spouse, or with my kids, or with my friends. So I think halting and pausing are going to be two things that are going to help you with this season, so that the anxiety does not get the best of you. And I think as well, something for us to work on is preparing. Prepare yourself with your budget. Go ahead and have that budget set, not just with your finances, but with your time. What is going to be feasible for you to do, that way that you are prepared to go through that throughout this entire season, so that when January comes, which is a mentally very hard month for people, it's colder, it's darker. And then they've got those credit card bills hanging over them. Well, we're not going to have that, because we were prepared and we planned. And I think when you can do that, that's going to help you with that anxiety too. And stay in touch with your people. You've got those mom friends that are going to help hold you accountable to saying no. They're going to say to you, hey, Martine, does that fit in your schedule? Didn't you schedule no for today? That's already there. So you want to have those accountability partners that are going to speak truth to you, not in a demeaning way, but an empowering way, to remind you, hey, this is what you need to do. And I think those are just some of the few things that helped me throughout the season. And, I think too, you got to say no to thinking that you can't, and this is totally off the cuff here, but you've got to say no to thinking you got to stuff down your feelings, or that you got to stuff down the hard things that you're dealing with, that you just got to put your lipstick on and keep going. I think you need to give yourself space to breathe, space to just acknowledge whatever it is that you're dealing with, and say no to stuffing, because that can get you into a really hard place. So if you can say no to that, to allow yourself that space to just really deal with whatever it is you need to deal with, I think that's going to help our moms as well, to just know that it's okay. It's okay if you need to cry. It's okay if you need to say things, or to deal with things, or to work through things, because that it's going to help you get through the season, and not feel like you just have to hold everything in. Sometimes you just got to let things out. And I know that goes completely another way, but I just feel like somebody needs to know that they can release.
Yeah.
They can
And I
release.
think having that safe space to have those releases, like you talked about, the people to hold you accountable, they should also be those partners where you can just be you, like just be human. Like you don't have to be a superhuman with them. You can just take the mask off, say I'm having a really crappy day today, or I said yes when I should have said no, like, because you're not going to get it perfect. There are going to be, if you're still trying to learn the skill set of saying no and preparing, John Maxwell said something years ago about if we prepare well now, we don't have to repair later. And so if you don't prepare now for the season that you're trying to create with your family, then you're going to be in repair mode come January. And January is a really hard month. I mean, seasonal depression jumps on you. It's dark. Like you said, it's cold. It's kind of like the holiday hangover season. And so if we can prepare well, I'm always about preparing, whether it's preparing my health, taking care of my health to prevent disease, taking care of my mental health to prevent, mental illness. Like there's things we can do on the front end. But I think we just get caught up in the hustle. We get caught up in the pace that everyone's doing. And they put it up on a shelf, right? We put ourselves up on the shelf. We put our emotions up on the shelf, whatever it is that we're like, oh, I'll get to that one day and I'll deal with that come January. But right now, these other things are priority. And then it hits you like a Mack truck, and then you're trying to repair the damage from memories lost or traditions not done. And then of course, as moms, then we start beating ourselves up about that.
Mom guilt. That's right. Mom guilt.
Spiraling. Here it comes. And it sounds so simple. The things that you're talking about, like creating the plan. And I know I'm talking about that with my clients right now too. It sounds so simple, but it really is just slowing down and getting a handle on what do I want it to look like? What does my family want it to look like? And then here's the things that we're going to say yes to as a family. We're going to say no to. And like you said, that might be different this year. It might be different.
Yeah. And different's not bad.
No, it's not bad. It's not. Hey, mompreneur friends. 'Tis the season, right? To juggle it all. Business, family, and festivities. Well, guess what? I have an ultimate gift just for you, a free resource to design the holiday that is successful and less stressful. So what will you say and feel like at the end of the holidays? Will you be excited about all the memories made while still running your business, or will you be filled with regret? You get to decide. So I want to encourage you to go to the link in the show notes, or you can go to martinewilliams.com/holiday list and grab your stress-free holiday toolkit. Inside, you're going to find a holiday season priority list. You're going to find 5 clarifying questions to answer to create the successful versus stressful holiday, some time management tips, a mindset mastery, how to shift your mindset, and 4 powerful ways to say no. It's completely free. I know you're ready to slay the season. I know you want to say goodbye to the holiday overwhelm and hello to a season of joy, success, and quality time with your loved ones. So dive into the holiday toolkit now and design the holiday you've always dreamed of, because this season is not just about surviving, it's about thriving, friends. Cheers to a stress-free and successful holiday season.
Different's not bad. I think too, we're going to have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's going to feel uncomfortable to say no. At first, it's going to be awkward. You may bumble over it and be like, did I do that right? And you may question. So if you can get comfortable being uncomfortable and just practicing it, over and over, it is eventually going to click, and it's going to set some people free. And they're going to be like, man, I didn't know what I was missing by not using these 2 powerful letters. So that's something, and can we just be honest for a minute and say, sometimes I struggle with it too. Yeah. I go back to those habits, of thinking, I have to say yes. So I think too, for people to know that you may fall back into those old habits, but it's just going back to retraining your brain, going back to those healthy habits and just implementing them. And if we can do that over time as mamas, mompreneurs, just imagine what we are helping our kids to see, that they don't have to do all the things. They don't have to do all the sports. They don't have to be the president of every single club. Like, they don't have to put this pressure on themselves. And so not only will we be dealing with our own anxiety, but now we get to be the model for our children and our teenagers and how they can handle their own anxiety as well. I think that's a really powerful thing that we can take from this too.
They need to see us struggle. They don't need to see us wearing masks, because then it's like when they find themselves in a struggling season, they're like, oh, well, mom never struggled with that, or dad never struggled with that. And so then they, don't know how to deal with it. And so to see us do it and do it well, but also not do it well on some days, and just know there's grace for all of that. There's forgiveness for all of that. There's people to support you during those times. I think they do look to us. It's kind of like when they were little and they would fall, right? They look up at us like, am I okay?
That's right.
and how our energy was, if we're freaking out and screaming, then they're going to freak out and scream. It's the same way. It's the same way now, they're watching us. They are. And I remember when I first launched my initial course, Choose You, and that was one of the things we talked about was you're the model for the stress and how you deal with stress. And that was such a convicting and eye-opening segment of that course. And it wasn't meant to shame. It was just, let's get our attention on this, right? So that maybe sometimes we need that personal accountability to handle our stuff and our junk so that we don't pass it on to the next generation or pass it on to a friend or whoever. Like, we're not responsible for them, but we are for our kids. The Lord gave them to us, so we need to shepherd them well, and just being honest with them. And when they get older, like mine are older, they're 16 and about to be 16 and 19, which is mind blowing to me. Like, they're watching even more, and it's harder to have some of those conversations with them, but in the end, I hope that I'm doing well, but I want them to know that I mess up and they can mess up, and it's okay. There's grace there for that.
Right. That's good.
So
that's powerful.
We know that we're going to try and prepare and plan and do all the kind of ahead of things to kind of stay ahead of the anxiety. But we know for some, it's still going to be a battle. So for someone who's listening, I just don't think we can talk about this enough. For someone who's listening, when they're in a state of anxiety and panic, or, a full-blown panic attack, like, what are some things? I know you have some tools that like help to get them out of that, like just bring them out of it, because it's really hard.
Yes, it's really hard, and it can feel scary as well. And the tricky part is you are feeling it on the inside, but nobody can see it on the outside. So it just feels kind of like nobody knows what's going on. And I've written about this in my books that I've written on anxiety elephants for all ages. But some things that help me in those moments when they come on is to find a place where I can kind of get out of the noise, get out of, maybe it feels like a lot of people, or like you can't breathe, like you're losing your breath, and to get away and to pause and take some good deep breaths. And the reason that you want to do that, what we're learning about the brain and science, is that when you are in that anxiety mode, that stress reaction has been kicked off. Your brain is in the emotional part where it's panicking and it's trying to protect you and keep you alive. So your heart is racing, your blood is pumping. And so your brain thinks that you need your fight or flight response, and you don't. And so that's where it can feel painful and scary, because you have nowhere for that adrenaline to go. So when you pause and take those deep breaths, it triggers the brain to move out of the emotional part into the thinking part, where you can think calmly and rationally. Because if we were being honest, we don't make the best decisions when we're emotional. Yeah. We react instead of being able to respond. So you want to pause and take some deep breaths. A couple other things you can do when you find yourself getting into what ifs, those what ifs will just play through our mind over and over on repeat. And we want to get off that hamster wheel of what ifs. Ground yourself back into that present moment so that you're back focused on reality. Use your senses. What is something you can hear, see, taste, touch, smell? By the time you get through all your senses, you are snapped back into your reality, into your present moment. And another one that helps me on that, and I talk about this in all the anxiety books, is Philippians 4:8, to think on what is true, pure, healthy, excellent, all of these things. You want to get your thoughts there on that truth. So that's going to help you with your thoughts. And then gratitude. Anxiety, it gets our perspective on what is bad, all the things that are that can look negative around us. But when we practice gratitude, our brain can't do both at the same time. I love how powerful gratitude is. So look for things that you're thankful for. Keep a gratitude journal. That is one way that if you are a visual person, that's a great way for you to block those anxious thoughts. Write down what you're grateful for, right? It's your family. If it's coffee, if it's fall, if it's Christmas lights, that all is great. Put all those things down on your list. I think all of those are going to be helpful during this holiday season. We want to also make sure we're taking care of our physical body, because a lot of times for anxiety, it's triggered by not getting enough sleep, maybe drinking one too many cups of coffee. That can be in there, that caffeine, eating too much sugar. All of these things can trigger that anxiety response. So make sure you're drinking lots of water, that you are getting sleep. You need it. You need your sleep. I'm telling you right now. My fifth grader, we got home from a basketball game really late a few nights ago, and she said, I have math homework. And so I'm going to bed. So good luck, because I had to get sleep. And she figured it out. I mean, so kudos to her. So get some sleep, get outside. If you can get outside and get some vitamin D and walk, that's going to help you as well. All of these things are going to help you. And then when you feel that anxiety come and you just need a break, take a break. It's okay to take a break. You say, hey, I need a moment. I just need a moment. And talk through that with your family. Set up, let them know if they see these things happening, they're aware, so they can support you and love you. And the same, we talked about those safe people with our friends. I think all of those things can help us through these moments, because when you kind of are aware of these things and that it's coming, that awareness is a big deal. All of these things can help you over time. Pick one or two of those things to put in your tool belt for this holiday season, so that you don't feel like you're just surviving, but you can enjoy it. You can find those moments, those peaceful moments where you can enjoy it. And it may be even while you're sitting in your car waiting to pick your kids up from school, from a holiday party, or whatever it might be. Just to find those moments that you can enjoy, and that's going to help you not allow that anxiety to get the best parts of this season for you. So
good. So many good nuggets in there. I know they're probably taking copious amounts of notes, and it's a really great kind of segue into, like, one of the ways they can do that is to have a copy of your Caroline Mom's devotional, like, in your car. I love the size of this book. Yes. I think it's perfect to put, like, in the door, so as you're sitting there and you're waiting in your Caroline Mom. So share just a little bit about that, like what your vision was for that, why you created this, because you have your books and your devotionals on anxiety for teens and tweens. And I'd just love for you to kind of share a little bit more about the Caroline Mom, because I'm not really a Caroline mom anymore, but I feel like you kind of always are an Uber mom. So whether you're a Caroline mom, you're always an Uber mom until your kids start, driving full time, which I have my last one in a couple of weeks. We'll be getting his. But still, like, you're in the lines all kinds of places. Maybe you're waiting to pick up your holiday food, or waiting for the kids to come back from somewhere. But just to have that resource right there for them to pull and just open to give them truth and to give them encouragement.
Yeah. So when I had the opportunity to write Caroline Mom with B&H Lifeway, the publisher, I was really excited about this, because from toddlers to teenagers, and then on, like you were even saying, our children, our teenagers, our tweens are counting on us to get them from one place to the next. And sometimes we don't know where those places are going to be until the very last minute, and then it's like, what do I do? They just, you have to drop everything and go. You may feel like you are just failing at life. Maybe you have said, that mom guilt that we've talked about quite a bit through this episode. So this really is just a 100-day encouragement devotional for the mama who's working hard to get everybody everywhere they need to go. But at the same time, you're feeling overwhelmed. You're feeling like every plate is about to fall. Every ball that you're juggling is about to just go away, and that you just can't do it. You think God made a mistake in calling you to be a mama. And so you're going to be able to read this devotional and see, first of all, you're not alone. You're not the only one wearing pajamas in the car line, or with the goldfish in the floorboards, or the sweatshirts piling up, and the sports equipment in the back seat. And who knows what else is in the car, right? Or the kids writing on your back window in all the dirt, help me, or the little smiley face. All these things that we have. You're not alone in that. And so each devotional, it just kind of comes from my own days of raising my daughters, raising my girls. And a lot of moments that I would find myself in the car line. And I love that in those moments, it would be in those places that God would just speak to me. I could find myself, with the mascara running down my face, thinking that I had failed because I yelled at my kids that morning, and that the whole day was ruined. But it was in those moments that God reminded me, hey, I see you. You're doing better than you think you are. I called you to this, Ephesians 2:10, I created you in advance for good works to do. And being a mom is a good work that God created you in advance to do. And so this devotion was just to help moms know God did not make a mistake. However, they have become a mom. Everybody's journey is different and where they got to be a mom. So they'll get a scripture that they'll read every day, a text of a story, you know, in there. If it's, even I will never forget one of the ones that I wrote was about my oldest daughter going from being in kindergarten, picking her own outfit she wanted to wear to church. It was a Minnie Mouse hat and a blue sparkly dress with athletic socks and heels. And she thought it was the greatest thing in the world, to her first middle school dance. And she's wearing that another blue dress, and her hair is all silky smooth. And she's wearing athletic tennis shoes with her dress. But it was just to know that in those moments where I can't be present in her life, God's there. And we want our kids to count on him. We want them to be able to look to him. And there's a lot of moments in this book that encourages moms to have the coffee together, give yourself that grace, order the pizza, say no, ask for help. And so I love the size of this book that you can just pick it up, flip through, read a day. There's an action step each day and a prayer. And even for me, I'll read back through it, and it brings me encouragement to know, okay, I'm not alone. You know, God has got us. He is not asking us to be perfect. He's just asking us to be willing, and he'll do the rest. So I really do. I really love this book.
That. I love that you said it's just an opportunity for you to feel seen. You know, I think so many times we do feel like we're alone. And so for you to just have that little, you know, book of, hey, he sees me, he hears me, just that reminder that there is someone that's listening, and someone who cares, and someone who can actually do something about whatever you're struggling with that day. You know, it could be just that nugget, just to know I see you. A lot of times that's so encouraging just to know someone understands, someone sees me, and someone's going to be there to support me. So I just love your heart and your passion for moms, and just for, you know, mental health and anxiety. And I will say that when you came to visit me and you spoke at our school, just want to put that out there to anybody who's listening. Like, if you have a school or a women's event or something that you need someone to come in and share their story, like Caris, your story is so powerful. I didn't even know the full story until you came and stayed with me and Shal asked the question. But to hear how you're able to take your story and take these lessons and take these tools around anxiety and mental health and make it fit each age group was like something like I've never seen someone do in such a quick way. So I would highly encourage anybody listening, if you bring in speakers to your school, bring speakers into your organization, Caris is amazing, and I highly, highly recommend it because it will be inspiring. It'll be honest and raw. It'll also give you the tools that you need. So where can they connect with you for all the things, the books, the devotionals, the speaking?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can connect with me for books and speaking. Easiest place is probably my website, carissnider.com, CARISSNIDR.com. Or you can go to carlinemom.com, CARLINEMOM.com, and you can find all that there. I hang out on Instagram and Facebook the most. Instagram is probably where I am at the most on social media, at Caris Snider. And I would love to connect with you there and just know how life is going. Message me. I do have conversations with people. It's not just where you message and then it's crickets. Like, I do like to hear from people, and I'll talk with you. So let's connect there for sure. And then if you do want to ask me questions there about speaking or what I do, you know, kind of with kids or women's ministry, and if Instagram's the easiest route for you, I've answered questions there for that. But I do have an email list that goes through my website. We call it kind of like an email family. You'll get lots of freebies. I don't spam you. You know, I just try to send encouragement and just helpful tips for everyone as we all grow in our faith and mental health.
Awesome. We're going to put the links to all that in the show notes. For those of you that are listening, maybe doing laundry, or maybe you're driving right now. You don't have to pull over right now. We're going to put all that in the show notes for them. But thank you so much for coming on the show again for the second time and kind of making it the holiday edition to talk about saying no. And I hope that the Lord continues to bless your ministry and to bless you and your family as you do the work. You know, we're doing the work to reach women, and it's a powerful mission. It's a mission that needs to keep going. So thank you for doing that and sharing it with me. You know, it's nice to know I have a sister that's sharing the load, you know, and helping me to empower other women. That's so we got to stick together, and I'm thankful that we are sticking together.
That's right.
All right, friends. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you again, Caris, for coming on, and thank you all for listening. This is probably going to be an episode you're going to want to share with a friend, because it is such a prevalent time for the topic that we talked about. So y'all know how to share it. Feel free to do that. You can leave a review. You can also message me on Instagram. Let me know if you liked this, what you liked about it, what takeaways you have, and I'm happy to translate that over to Caris as well. So thank you all so much. And we will catch you on the next episode. Well, that's a wrap, friends, for this week's episode of the Mompreneur Life Remixed podcast. Thank you so much for listening and for following the show. It means so much to me. And listen, friend, sharing is caring. So if you loved this episode and thought of some fellow mompreneurs who could benefit, send them the link. Share this episode or take a screenshot and head on over to Instagram and share and tag me at Martine31Williams. We are connected on Instagram, right? It's where you will get all the fun behind the scenes of my life and business as a mompreneur. Until next time, know that I am believing in you always.